This is going to be a huge story, or another Caitlin Clark controversy. Controversy is probably a strong word. Let's say conversation, as Cece was left off the Team USA women's basketball Olympic roster. Let me get this out of the way first. There is not a single woman on this list who doesn't deserve to be there. That is a stacked squad. It is a gold medal squad. A'ja Wilson has been absolutely dominant this season. Breanna Stewart is nice. I mean, up and down the roster. Nafisa's having a big year. Lloyd, a big year. I love Jackie Young's game. I love Sabrina's game. You know, there's not a single woman here who deserves to be taken off the roster. And I think Diana Taurasi will probably get some heat because of what she said about Clark in the past. But be careful, because you're disrespecting a legend when you talk about Taurasi. She is arguably the greatest player of all time. So I don't want to make it about disrespecting any of the other women who deserve to be on the squad, who have put up numbers, who are great players in their own right. But when you talk about the growth of the game aspect of it, it is a head-scratching decision. Lisa Leslie had said in the past, I don't know how you leave the country without her. And of course, it's not like Lisa Leslie's some nobody, right? Like Lisa Leslie, a legend of the game as well. Here is the quote from, this was a couple months ago, I think. She initially said this to the Sporting News, I believe. And it says, I don't know how you leave the country without her. That's a 4-time gold medalist, Lisa Leslie, on this Olympic squad. And this is, of course, coming off of Caitlin setting ratings records for the WNBA, setting attendance records for the WNBA. That game against the Mystics, was absolutely packed, sold out in seconds. We know what the TV numbers have been for the league this year. And while the game as a whole is growing, we all realize Caitlin Clark is the catalyst for the explosion. A sellout crowd of 20,333 fans. The biggest gate ever for the Mystics in that one. And it's also not like Clark isn't performing. It'd be one thing if she had fallen flat on her face as a rookie in the WNBA. Some people have tried to make that the narrative, if you will. But she's coming off the best game she's played, where she reminded everybody why she's captured the imagination of basketball fans everywhere. Fastest player in WNBA history to record 200-plus points and 50-plus assists. And she would show out alongside the rest of that talent. When you can't put all the focus of the defensive attention on her. There was a play in that Mystics game where several defenders went to Clark to try to keep her from getting an open shot. It led to a skip pass across the court to Mitchell, who was wide open for a three. That's the gravity. People have talked about that with Steph Curry in the past, the gravity that she brings to the court. So if you were as stacked as that squad is, and she was there, you wouldn't be able to do that to her. Plus, she would, make all these highlight level passes, handling the ball in transition and finding her teammates. It would be exciting. It would be exciting, and it would help continue to grow the sport. I mean, she's the biggest athlete in America right now, and the biggest women's basketball star of all time already, from a notoriety and interest standpoint. It's not like leaving Isaiah Thomas off the Dream Team, and that is still talked about to this day. It's like leaving Michael Jordan off the Dream Team. And I get it, she hasn't accomplished what Michael Jordan did on the court yet. But, from that explosion standpoint and generational impact standpoint is where I'm coming from. Now, Clark could use the rest. I mean, it's not a coincidence she had such a great game after getting some time off, right? Like, her legs were fresh. And she just played at Iowa in the national championship game. And it just went through a grueling WNBA schedule. And she really could use those, that Olympic break they speak about. So I'm not so sure it isn't a good thing for her in the long run, as far as it, comes to her body recovering and her performance in the pros. But it is going to be tough. I mean, it's now going to take over the conversation that she's not there, because there's certainly an argument for her to be left off merit-wise. I just showed you the brilliant women who were on that team. And I hope more and more people are seeing just how good these players are. And the game as a whole is going to grow regardless of this. But I do think this is now going to dominate the conversation around that team that is going to win gold. And, I suppose we should have seen this coming, because Cheryl Reeve, the Lynx head coach, seemed to be a little perturbed by the extra attention that had gone around Clark and the Fever at the beginning of the season. And wanted to make sure that there was focus on her team as well. And she had sort of called out the WNBA for all the Clark-centric promotions. I see here, let me see. This is a good screen grab from Reddit on that exact thing. But early in the season, I think it was in the preseason. Cheryl Reeve calls out WNBA for Caitlin Clark-centric preseason promotions. Is there a reason why it's not being shown? Because they only care about Caitlin, that part. And I do know and have noticed how that can breed, I guess resentment is a word. And I don't know if that factored into this decision whatsoever. I'm not saying that it did. But I was thinking about it before it went down, that could weigh in. And obviously some of the other women are tired of being asked about Caitlin Clark all the time, which is understandable, by the way. I get it. And I don't think anybody should be bowing to her like, I hate the narrative, like they need to be thankful and appreciative, and that's like, they've accomplished stuff on their own. They have self-respect. They don't need to be, bowing down. Everybody should recognize what's going on, but that doesn't mean you have to kowtow to it. At the same time, you have to, think about it logically and rationally. And when you look at the boom for the game, seeing this, it was a golden opportunity. It's a team that's going to win gold, but may have missed out on a golden opportunity.